The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor-producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, lovely people. This is Dr. Jolie Phillips. Welcome to the Treehouse. We're here on Phillips Island. Gosh, we've been through a lot together.
Yes, we have. I'm exhausted.
I'm with the author, the writer, the creator, the thinker, philosopher, Sarah Tirri. Sarah, get us caught
I've added visionary to my label.
You're a visionary?
Yeah, because I had a lot of visions of things last night in my sleep, just future things. I'll talk about those on the next podcast.
Yeah, because you told me we're not going to talk. We're going to stay
No. This is election.
All right, we're going to be very focused on.
Yes, that's what we have to do.
So with that as a backdrop, let's get caught up. The election, well, it was just a couple days ago, and people are just. We mentioned this before. We anticipated people are going to come unglued.
Did they come unglued?
I think some people came unglued. I've seen a lot of people.
Went out emotionally or freaking out.
Well, yes, both. But let's frame this up in a grander scheme of grander context. You wanted this to be all a post-election. In fact, you and I made this a special arrangement, especially today, so we can get this out.
Yes. Because we got to publish it in an hour and a half.
I know, because as soon as you leave, I got to go to post-editing. But why did you feel so compelled to put this together in a contemporaneous manner to talk about what's going on in the world?
Well, I think it's important. We've all been through this. We've all had this. And I'm glad it's bloody over. I mean, there's a lot of hype. And so this is what happened to me. So on Monday, which was the 5th, which was the election day, I had to go into town 3 times. And each time, I thought I could vote now. And I knew who I was going to vote for. And I didn't. And I passed it by because the evening before, I'd watched a few things on TV. And what they were telling me was a complete contradictory to what I was being told by the other channel. And I just fell back into, I don't know what's real anymore. Because... And then, well, what do you vote for if you don't know what's real? What's fake news? Who's lying? I mean, everyone seems to say whatever they need to say to get elected. And then how is voting effective anymore? What am I voting for? For a reality that I can't make head or tail of.
Gosh, this is a good... You just teed it up beautifully because I've been very contemplative and reflective about the elections, what they are, what they're not. And this whole idea, we kind of talked a little bit about it previously. It's like, what is this whole election thing all about? What is the purpose of it? And I was talking to Robin this morning. Let's just pick a service industry, whether it could be lawn care, somebody cleaning your pool, or even probably, let's just pretend that you're redoing your kitchen.
Right.
And you're going to contract with somebody and you come to an agreement about what they do, what you're going to do. There's this meeting of the minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this agreement. And contract law has several components. It's under common law, there's the offer, the acceptance, there's a contract. It could be oral or written. Mm-hmm. There's a sender or receiver, and there's consideration. I mean, there's certain basic things that happen with every contract.
Yeah.
Now, we have this agreement with our so-called leaders, these government officials, which, by the way, government is 2 different words. Govern means to control. Ment is
govern means to control, not keep order.
No, govern means govern is to control, and then ment is mind.
Oh.
Ment is mind. So this is
order
literally
and mind.
Government is mind control. They're controlling your mind. So take me apart on that. If any of you want to challenge me on that, go for it. But But the point is, like, we have to get to this place where we understand that the government is a service industry. We are not subjects. We no disrespect to the English, but we left that subject thing. We're not to be controlled by other people. And if you're that person that doesn't mind being controlled by somebody, you know, that's your thing. But I think the bigger conversation here is one of individualism versus collectivism. And we can kind of bridge off of that. But back to the scenario, if I had somebody come in here and I had an agreement about what's going to happen with the design of my kitchen, I want to talk about, you know, the functionality of the kitchen, what colors, blah, blah. And
what houses there could be, what timelines need to be established. Yeah.
There's every aspect of that construction or that renovation, that upgrade to my kitchen. Every aspect of that is going to be, we're going to discuss it, we're going to negotiate it, we're going to codify it, we're going to put it into motion.
Yeah.
But what would it be like if on day one, the contractor says, yeah, I was thinking this through and we're going to do this instead. Or I think we're going to do this. I don't like your design.
That cupboard over there is going to be red and not white.
Yeah, I'm going to change the
just
design.
arbitrarily.
Right.
Yeah. Also, I'm not going to put this appliance in. I'm going to, so how would you have? I mean, you just wouldn't, would you? You'd fire him immediately.
Well, yeah, what you just say is, what we say, wait a minute, first of all, we use our voices.
I don't think I'd enter into a negotiation with him. If you've come in and we've agreed and now you're going to do your own thing, I don't think there's anything more I need to know about
because this is a service organization, right? He's providing a service or she is providing a service.
But he's changed the parameters.
Right. So,
arbitrarily.
So there has to be a meeting of the minds about what services that person's going to provide as they do my kitchen or mow my lawn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the people who serve in our government, it's the same thing. We give them some guidelines. Now, the broadest guidelines are basically the Constitution. It's the basic structure. But then, you know, they get into all these different, like, codes and things like that, which we'll talk about a different time, because there's a difference between constitutional law and code law.
Right, that's an interesting distinction.
Because there's the law of the land, which is common law. Common law is the law of the land. Then there's British law, which is maritime law or the law of the sea. Like, law is literally land, air, water. Right? Oh. It's law. Land, air, water.
Is that your acronym? I mean, that's great.
It's where it came from.
Okay, well, that's good. I never knew that.
And you
land, air, and water.
You can tell what law you're working under because if you talk about the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, those are the maritime laws.
Right.
So UCC. But it's obfuscated because the UCC they pretty much overlaid it right on top of the USC. The USC is the United States codes. So whenever you hear like President Trump talking about some law, he never talks about the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code. That's a British maritime law. He only talks about the U.S. codes. He makes reference to the codes. He makes reference to the Constitution. He doesn't call us citizens. He calls us Americans.
Right.
Once in a while, I've caught him using the word citizen once in a while in the past, since 2012. But basically, he uses the word Americans. Okay? Those words matter. All of those words matter. And you say, well, why does it matter? Well, what matters is the jurisdiction that you're under. The U.S. code, the U.S. Constitution has been co-opted, and has been co-opted several times. The idea that we're operating under one set of laws versus another set makes our lives infinitely complex. So, like, if you and I say we're arguing over this, you're the contractor and you're jacking up the agreement we had with my kitchen. Well, you're going to get you're going to attorney up, right? You're going to get your attorney. I'm going to get my attorney, and we're going to duke it out, and they're going to go through the codes and the precedents and all this stuff, right? That it's going to get all ugly, and it's all.
It wouldn't in my watch, because if you've done that, I need you to leave. I need your energy to go, and I'll live without you.
Yeah.
I would, because you could never recover from that. Because once you've duked it out, you've got shitty energy.
Yeah,
so,
but there's no question about that. But the question is, okay, well, I need my deposit back.
Yes, yeah.
Now you're going to be fighting over the deposit,
Oh, God,
or
yeah, take it and fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But now a lot of people can't do that.
No, yeah, you're right.
And won't do that. So we have to make sure that the laws serve the least of us all. The laws should be so simple that anybody can understand them, and that's the way they were originally.
So why do we have this double law? Why wouldn't one be rid of and then have it streamlined? That sounds very logical. It sounds like it should happen, necessary.
Yeah, so let's play that forward. Let's just say that you and you're my neighbor. I contract you for the kitchen. You're jacking it up. Very egregious errors, like you practically ruined my home, and there's all sorts of problems. So there's a breach of a contract. Under common law, what would happen is I would claim an injury against you. In this case, a breach of a contract. I would claim an injury. I would bring forth my issue in front of a jury of my peers. And it wouldn't be some court where I have to bring an attorney. I would literally put you in front. Because you have a right. If I've injured you, or you've injured me, I have a right to confront you, and I have a right to bring this in front of a jury of my peers.
Right. And do you get to choose this jury?
The jury of my peers. I don't want to get into the laws.
Okay.
But basically, we're so far removed from where this is. Even the court system. The court system as we know it does not belong to we the people. It belongs to the crown. And people can argue with me about this, but basically everything we do in the quote legal system, because there's a difference between a legal system and a lawful system. The legal system is maritime law. How do you know the difference? Well, if I use an attorney to represent me, the attorney is a bar attorney, right? You've heard of bar certification.
Yes.
I'm a bar attorney. What is bar? What does bar mean? Bar means British Accreditation Registry.
Ah.
So that means the American attorneys have been accredited by the Brits. Why would they do that? What's up with that? Yeah. Well,
Why is it still lingering so long?
Well, it's not lingering. It was the center of power. And when Donald Trump was inaugurated in 2017, if you listen carefully to his inauguration speech, and some of you can go back,
I'm going to now.
It's
going to be on YouTube.
But there were some fascinating things that happened when he was inaugurated. The first thing was all of the words that he spoke had to do with returning us to the Constitution and away from the maritime law back to the constitutional or common law. So that's an important distinction. But he specifically says words like, this is an election that's unlike any other election in American history, where we're not transferring power from one party to another. We're transferring power away from Washington and returning it back to you,
states.
the people.
Yes.
So these are not my words. This is what President Trump said last time he was formally in office, which is 2017 to 2021. Yeah. Since then, he's continually said he's a wartime president, and this introduces another variable. A wartime president. Well, wait a minute. Is that under common law or is that under maritime law? Because those are two different jurisdictions. He's repeatedly said over the whole time he's been in the recent public consciousness that he's a wartime president. Have you ever heard him say that?
No, I don't think so.
He said it. He said it all the time. I'm a wartime president. The significance of that is that in wartime, there's a completely separate legal system. It's different than common law. Although it's a subset of common law, it's different.
And it's different in what way?
Well, you don't get an attorney.
Right. So it's expedited.
You basically have a military tribunal.
Right.
So let's just say you and I are subject to the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice. If you and I are subject to that, because I swore to defend the Constitution, you're in my squadron. Say we're in the same squadron. We're both pilots in the same squadron. You swore to defend the Constitution of the United States for America. I swore to uphold the Constitution. And then there's what we've done when we swore to uphold that as military, we've also agreed that the court that governs us is not the civilian court. It's the military court.
Right.
So because I'm a military member, I'm subject to the military
Yes.
court system.
So Trump's saying he's a wartime president. What's his angle on saying that?
Well, you would have to ask him. So we can only interpret what.
Yeah. What's your
we
interpretation?
Well, my interpretation is that he's been functioning as the commander-in-chief since he formally left office as the president, POTUS. See, there's two different hats that a president of the United States wears, two different hats, one of which is the POTUS, the President of the United States Corporation, right? POTUS, that's what the President of the United States Corporation, mm-hmm. That's the person that sits on the throne in D.C. and they control the corporation. They're the CEO of the corporation. Mm-hmm. The other hat they wear is, and it's two hats at the same time typically, the other hat they wear is called the Commander-in-Chief. The Commander-in-Chief is in charge of the armed forces. Mm-hmm. Well, the armed forces existed before America existed. So if you look back, the Commander-in-Chief position existed before. And you know what? Some of you might call in and say, oh, Jolie, you got this timing wrong or this concept wrong. And that's okay. Call me, correct me, but this is based on what I'm seeing and what I've read and observed. Investigated. So, and we're a long way away from the elections, but I think these foundational principles are very important for our understanding of where we are. So Trump
has said he's a wartime president.
He's said that repeatedly, multiple times.
And what do you speculate? What's he saying that for, and why? What's he intend to do with that?
It's not what he intends to do. It's what's already been done. A lot of this has already been done. There's two different things there's multiple things that a wartime president can do.
Which he can't do when it's not wartime. Like
there's a thing called habeas corpus, right? Which means that I can control your body. Well, under common law, I can't control your body. Right? I can't control your body. Under wartime, if you're someplace you shouldn't be, I can control your body. I can take you and remove you.
So you've got more power in the wartime status.
You've got almost infinite power with respect to America. Mm. But
that would scare a lot of people, though.
Well, and it has. And people have interpreted that to say, oh, he's going to be a Hitler. He's going to control.
I hear that all the time.
And maybe he will be. Technically, he has the capability, and he has had the capability since he formally left office. He has had the capability. The important thing is, I didn't know I was going to talk so much.
That's fascinating, though, isn't it?
What's important is to understand that there's different jurisdictions with law. And the question is, what jurisdiction are we currently under? During the 2020 elections, when Joe Biden, the actor known as Joe Biden, was elected, there was a lot of people claiming election fraud and all this stuff. And Trump repeatedly took the case to different jurisdictions. They were civilian jurisdictions. And repeatedly, the judges were saying things like, I'm sorry, but we can't hear this case. We don't have jurisdiction. In other words, we don't recognize you. Mm. And a lot of standard Americans were getting really upset. But the Republicans were getting very upset. Why are you getting upset? The judges, in many cases, were being truthful. They're a representative of the British government, deploying law within the Americas. And Trump is a wartime president.
Yeah.
His jurisdiction is the UCMJ.
He's not subject to that one. He's subject to this one.
He's not subject to the UCMJ. Yeah. He's subject to the UCMJ.
So they're right when they say that.
Technically, they're right, but it's been misinterpreted.
Right, yeah.
So you say, well, what are some of the data points that I can look to verify that he is functioning as the commander-in-chief? All right? Infinite. Like, I've tracked this myself, and people like me have tracked this for years. So we just have to look back and look at some of there's two different things that I've looked at. I know some of them are in place, like they're called PEADS, P-E-A-D-S. It stands for Presidential Executive Action Directive. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. But basically, it's a presidential executive action that dictates, it circumvents everything else. It bypasses.
So it just gives carte blanche.
It is carte blanche. And it's tightly held. It's basically only between him and his cabinet and his top advisors and even the top military. So those things are very relevant. We have to say...
Why?
So even though Jolie doesn't know what that means, I know that those things exist. Yes. And they have existed for all the presidents. They all have PEADS. The question is, what do the PEDs do? Well, we don't know. We just know that they exist. They're above.
So the PED means the government can do whatever
Not the government.
The president.
The president. So
that is the president in Trump's case.
In this case, it was president. He was president for 10 more days. So this is just before he left. Before he quote unquote left office in 2021, prior to the January 6th
Fiasco.
Show. It was a show.
Was it really?
Yeah. So prior to the January 6th show, and we're going to get some hate mail. I don't care. Don't direct your hate mail to Sarah. Direct it to me because she's.
And don't hate.
She's
just
being an
ask
angel.
a question. Don't hate anyone. It's just opinion. And if we can't exchange words and ideas, we end up going to war. So that's what we're doing, is just talking about ideas.
Yes, and these are just ideas, and maybe I'm wrong.
Doesn't matter. That's what we have, though, is words get us to where we need to go.
And I've wanted to be wrong for years. I want to be wrong.
That's a good attribute.
I really want to be wrong.
Sam Harris says that. I don't want to be wrong a moment longer than I have to be. Right. I want to be right, but I am wrong, and I need to be. So you always want to be right, but you're probably wrong about a lot of things, and that's okay.
And truthfully, I'm one of those people that are always questioning my position. That's what a pilot does.
Yeah.
A pilot is always asking, am I in the right spot at the right time?
I think it's humility.
The right airspeed, the right...
Anyway, go back to the commander-in-chief having all this power.
Right. So there's the presidential executive actions, the PEDs, but then there's also what they call executive orders, EOs. So you can go to EO, and anybody here can look these up. You can go look them up. The two that you really should pay attention to would be Executive Order 13848, which has to do with, I'll explain the two in a minute, but Executive Order 13848, and the other one is Executive Order 13818. Now, 848 has to do with election interference with elections. Mm-hmm. The other one has to do with human trafficking. Now, two different issues, both signed by Trump while he was formally in office.
And what does he sign with regards to the human trafficking, that we're going to outlaw this, that we're going to get these bad guys?
Yeah, so I'll walk you through both because they have some similarities.
Well, the human trafficking one is just
right,
horrifying.
and that's one where I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about human trafficking. The sad truth is, it not only exists, well, not so much anymore, because we've pretty much destroyed the major conduits for human trafficking several years ago. What's important is this.
But what was his contribution to ending it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so when he put the Executive Order 8, we'll just talk about the human trafficking one.
Yes, it's just for now,
okay?
yeah.
What the order says, and I'm paraphrasing, it says that anybody, anywhere in the world that's involved with human trafficking, that means sex slaves, trafficking men, women, children, boys, for the purposes of their bodily...
for some sexual perversion.
Some perversion, whatever it is.
Whatever that is.
Or their body parts, their organs, or their blood.
Jesus.
All right.
What do they want their blood for?
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking some really nasty satanic shit that
it's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Who are these people that...
Yeah,
it's just like...
And you can...
movie.
There's a...
and how prevalent is this? Is this going
on
everywhere
anymore.
Under our noses?
It's not anymore. We've really taken a lot of it out. There was a girl named Abramovich. She was a spirit cooker, literally a spirit cooker.
What's a spirit cooker?
Well, I don't want to get you too far down the rabbit hole, but basically, if you take a child and you increase their, you change their body chemistry by putting them under stress.
Right.
But it's a specific type of stress. You can either put them under duress, like pain stress, or ecstasy stress.
Oh, really?
But what happens is you literally can change their body chemistry.
And your point to doing that gives you what? Power over... Changing their body's chemistry does what?
Yeah.
What are you looking for if you do that from the child?
And I'm going to say this word and then we're going to be done with this topic, but y'all can just research what's called adrenochrome. Your adrenals...
I'm going to need to look at this one.
You don't want to look at this. This is nasty stuff. But adrenochrome, adreno is basically your adrenals. Your adrenals are your fight or flight. So they sit on top of your kidneys, right? You have two adrenal glands.
But why make the child produce all this? What's the point behind this?
Yeah, because...
Who wants this?
Yes. I'm just going to say some very evil people that are...
But what are they getting from that? Is it giving them some type of energy?
Yes.
It's an energy transfer of some
Energy,
kind.
eternal youth. The whole
Oh,
thing.
really?
It's just a bad, nasty rabbit hole.
And Trump's aware of this and he's eradicating it, or he's attempting to, or he has?
And so it already has been. So here are the data points I want to share with you. So Executive Order 13818 was not just an American thing. Here's the basics of what it said. And again, this goes back probably 7 years now. I got to look at the exact date, but I think it's like 7 years old now. And it only had a life of 3 years. So wait a minute. If there's an executive order that's 3 years old and was supposed to expire, but now it's 7 years old, we have to have that conversation about what happened there. Trump was in office. He had a 3-year life on this executive order 13818. What this did was it said that anybody, anywhere in the world, I don't care who you are, the king, queen, the queen of Britain.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't care if you're the Pope in the Vatican. I don't care who you are. If you are involved with child sex trafficking human beings,
yes.
If you're involved with that, you are considered a combatant, an enemy
of the state.
Of not the state, like the world state.
Right.
Of America. Because this is an American executive order. So you're an enemy of America. Well, what's the big deal? Well, I'm a wartime president. So what? Well, we have the most powerful military in the world. So when you watch Trump being inaugurated in 2017, right behind him for about 30 seconds, you'll see these, and this doesn't happen for American inaugurations. When a president's sworn in, he is inaugurated, he does his speech. But in this particular case in 2017, you see these military people come behind him. And when you look at the bands, when you look at their service caps for the military that was behind him, you'll see that the service caps on the right and the left are different. So the ones on the right and left were different. And you see the color codes on their service caps. That represents what their jobs are in the military. Well, one of them was what's called the judge advocate, the staff judge advocate, or the judge advocate general. So the JAG is basically the judge. So when you have a military court system, then you need a military judge, right?
Yes.
You need a judge. Well, half of the military people behind him were JAGs. They were judge advocates. Those are the judges. Those are the people that are going to be the judges for the tribunals, the judges for any subsequent court actions.
And this is singular to the Trump inauguration in 2017.
I've never studied all of the inaugurations.
Right.
I personally have never seen it before.
But go back to the human trafficking. So you've got these people behind him, and they represent the people that are going to give him this power to get rid of all our enemies, which are the human traffickers.
I'm presenting you with what I see. I'm giving you data points. I can't pretend to know what the purpose of it was. All I can do is make my best guess.
Yeah, but that's all we're doing. Yeah.
Now, the other people on the other side were the military attorneys and investigators. They're basically the attorneys, the detectives, basically like the FBI.
Yeah.
So you've got the prosecutors on one side, you've got the judge on the other, and you got Trump telling you, I'm proud to be your president. This is going to be a time where we take power from D.C., which he calls the swamp creatures, whatever, and return the power to we the people. He didn't even have to say anything about the military because they're standing right behind him, and they were only behind him for less than a minute. They came, they sat there while he said that, and then they left. So to me, that was the exclamation point behind what he said. I'll just leave that there. Going back to the executive orders for human trafficking, what does that mean? If we're going to capture people that, let's just say we find people in, maybe there's a ship that gets...
Yeah.
Like, do you remember in the Suez Canal, it's like, 4 or 5 years ago, there was the Evergreen ship. It was cocked sideways in the Suez Canal.
Yes, I do remember that.
Right. Well, nobody really knows what was on that except for the special operations teams from all of the countries that actually went onto that ship and took care of it. some believe there was human trafficking. Others believe that there were dirty bombs, dirty nukes. Others believe there was weather modification devices. So we don't know. I don't know.
No, we don't know anything.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
All I know is there's this executive order that says if you're caught trafficking humans. Now, they did take some of those containers, and those shipping containers, and they found they were capable of transporting people within the shipping containers.
God.
So whether they had people in them or not, I don't know. I wasn't there.
But they had the systems in place.
But they had the systems in place to transport people across an ocean in a very benign, it's a blank shipping container. How can you know what's in
it? It
there?
has some oxygen in there, and that was it, and you're going to
They did. They had oxygen and food and, place to poop and stuff.
God.
So what's the punchline? What's the punchline?
And Trump's aware of all this, and he hates this as much as you and I do, right?
That's a subjective thing. I don't think anybody can hate it more than me.
Yeah.
But maybe he does.
But he wants to rid the world of this vice.
Well, that's the point, is we already have.
Okay, we can.
And I can't say categorically because there's still pockets.
Yes, but we've done. There's a big workload has been done already.
The major. It's like saying, did you clean all of the mold off your toilet rim?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got most of it off, but there might be something still under there.
Yeah, a bit residual.
Some residue and whatever. So we think we got most. We got the big chunks of it, the big trunk lines, the things like that.
But is Trump aware that he's doing this?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing people don't understand. And maybe it'll come to light, maybe it won't. But it's my belief that Trump was invited to run for office in 2016. He was invited. And we can talk about that another time. Let me give you the punchline on the Executive Order 13818. If the Pope, as an example, and if you're a Christian or Catholic and you're all about the Pope or the cardinals and how sacred they are and stuff like that, ask better questions. Just ask better questions. That's all. I'm not going to make a statement. If they were involved in some way or another with transporting this very valuable commodity called humans, which is a very valuable thing. I mean, the humans are, they have a lot of value.
Yeah, in all sorts of ways.
It follows, part of the executive order says, if you're one of those people that are caught, you're going to be subject, you're considered an enemy combatant of America. Enemy combatants are treated differently than, say, prisoners of war. We have different rules for different, like prisoner of wars, we have different rules.
And treated differently as in more hardcore?
Very hardcore. Yeah. So basically, there's no attorney, there's no...
So if you had some cardinal in Italy, and America could fly there, pick him up, bring it back here, and just take care of him.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be here. It would be like Guantanamo Bay or the Azores.
Okay.
There's different islands. There were different tribunal places across the world.
Right.
But let's just say you were that cardinal and you were involved with that in some way. You would be presumed, you'd be an enemy combatant. The military code, justice, says basically the presumption is that you're guilty and you have to prove yourself innocent. Under civilian code, common law, you're innocent until proven guilty, beyond a shadow of a doubt. The military code, it's the opposite.
Yeah, you really got to be able to defend yourself.
Here's what we got.
Yeah, and you're bad.
And this happened with like Saudi Arabia. The first trip that Trump took when he was sworn in, he made a beeline for Saudi Arabia. They had pallets of evidence regarding human trafficking with the Saudis.
Really?
That's why the first dozen layers of Saudi royalty stepped down, because Trump basically said, look, here's what we've got on you regarding human trafficking.
Wow.
You're going to either hand your keys to your country over to me, or we're going to give this evidence to all your people. We're going to airdrop this evidence, and we're going to saturate your people will take care of you.
Jeez.
Now, I don't know that that's what he said, but that's what I would have said if I were in his position. Yeah. Well, guess what?
And what was their response?
All of them stepped down.
Really?
And the one that's standing now is called Mohammed bin Salman.
Yes.
MBS, they call him. MBS. He's a big teddy bear guy with a big fat beard and just really friendly, beautiful eyes.
And he's a good guy?
They went down the whole list of Saudi royalty until they found somebody that was clean.
Well, who are all these perverts with all this money? I mean, oh my God. Anyway, so we've got this clean guy who's willing to cooperate. Right. And is he willing to shop his countrymen, or is he hiding the stuff that they've done?
Not only was he clean, he also helped President Trump from 2017, that entire year, he helped President Trump kind of rally the other generals. Because when Trump took office, there was actually a split in the U.S. military, huge split, major split. There were what I'll call the corporate military, which is part of the industrial military complex. And then there was the true patriots, people like me, true patriots that are saying,
we the people.
It's about we the people. It's about defending our way of life. Americans are, this is the thing the world doesn't get. True Americans love peace. We don't want to drop bombs on people. We believe in statesmanship. We believe that God doesn't create junk. If you're a Buddhist, be the best Buddhist you can be.
Right.
Take care of your people. And this is where, if you really study what Trump did when he was in his first term, you'll see that he basically told every country the same thing. So he started off with 200 American generals, and now the last number I saw was worldwide, we have over 800 generals in agreement about human trafficking, about things like
Thank
this.
God.
Yeah. So we have
Unbelievable. I love hearing that. If
Yeah.
it's that bad, I mean, I don't look into it much because I have to sleep at night, and it's so bad. I mean, it's just hideous.
But this is
I
good
love
news.
that number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good news.
This is good news because
Yeah.
a lot of that water is under the bridge already.
That's good.
And what's going to happen now is, especially when they start revealing more things that have happened in Haiti, more things that,
To do with human trafficking?
yes.
I was in Haiti last week.
Yeah.
So that's
So
right.
there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. So we're at a place now where if somebody's got eyes to see and ears to hear and they're present and they're focused, you're only going to see about 20% of what actually happened. But there will be a reveal. You can see now. If you
And
look,
where are all these people going to be locked up and sent to and,
Well, they're-
electrocuted or whatever they're going to do?
a lot of them are already,
Where are they going to be?
a lot of them are already done. A lot of them are already
Dead?
gone. They're gone. Yeah.
Do you think Epstein's dead?
Don't know.
No.
I think he sang.
You think he's what?
I think he sang. I think that he.
Sang, you mean it, and spoke? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's. I think the people to watch are like.
Now, how will we? So
Like
how
P.
will we
Diddy?
know? Yeah. Oh my God.
So-
My daughter thinks P. Diddy is not in New York. That he's having facial reconstruction surgery in some island in the Philippines. He'll come back in society. We'll be told that he's banged up for the next 30 years, and no one will know. And when we started this podcast, that's what I came out the gate saying. We don't really know what the truth is. But anyway, back to human trafficking.
yeah.
So this big blight and scourge is way better than it was, and it's going to continue.
Yeah,
and
we're
going to wipe out these perverts that are destroying our children.
Right now, a lot of the heavy lifting has been done, but now it's a state of revealing. We're revealing things to the people in a very slow, methodical way. It'll happen faster and faster as people wake up. There's going to be a few people. There's going to be a percentage of people, 5 to 7%, that absolutely cannot hear this. They just their mind.
But it's very troubling.
But it is very troubling.
Yeah, I
had
don't blame
trouble.
them.
The pictures I saw.
Oh, please.
I mean, it was just.
Oh my God.
It was just too much. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot. So we don't want people to get traumatized, but we need to get them to the level of awareness of what just happened. Because this was not an election that happened 2 days ago. This is we're going to start celebrating. And all of the people that are crying and punching their steering wheel because their person didn't win, I want them to just back away for a second, take a breath, because we all won. This was not about one party or the other. We all won. Freedom won. Now we have to keep freedom again. But all of this was about the children. Almost all of this was about the
Really?
children.
My God.
The past 10 years was about the children. So
And Trump is aware of this. And
Totally. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow, that must
so
weigh
watch
heavily
this
on him.
now. There's been a wholesale. Americans have been ripped off since 1933. Okay, the Federal Reserve System is not federal; it's private. There's no reserves. It's a Ponzi scheme, and there's no system. It's a family. So the Federal Reserve System is a joke. That's going to be taken apart.
And does Trump know it's a joke?
Well, yeah, 10 days before he left office. I say 10 days. It was within a couple weeks. Prior to his leaving office, he did two things. He basically restructured the military, and I'm talking about leaving office. This is when he left office in 2021.
Right.
The end of 2020, basically the end of 2020, on his way out the door, he did several things. One of which was he restructured the military. And what it used to be, everything had to go through. Basically, in the military, there's the top dog. That's the commander in chief. That's what was the president. All right. So, but there's two hats. Who's wearing the commander in chief? Who's carrying the suitcase that's got the nuclear codes? Right. That's the commander in chief. Who flies on Air Force One? But specifically, it's not the airplane. It's the call sign Air Force One. If President Trump was flying or whoever the president was flying a tricycle or a glider, that glider would be called Air Force One.
Right.
It represents who's in that plane.
Right.
There's certain things, the commander-in-chief, that's the top dog. And then underneath the commander-in-chief is a civilian, because remember, we have two civilians in charge of our military. This is not like the military is in charge of the military. It's two civilians that control the military. That's called the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The chairman, it's a civilian. Then you go down there, now you've got these, the generals, right? So it starts fanning out a little bit. There's all these different generals. Well, it used to be, back in the 60s, prior to President Kennedy being assassinated, he had this dream. He warned us about this out-of-control section of the military that was serving the global elite group and not serving Americans.
Right.
He said that this group, we have to watch out. Even Eisenhower warned about it.
Is that what got him killed then, making that claim?
It's one of several things.
Right.
Like, he also wanted us to stay on the... he did not want money to be printed. He wanted money to be backed by gold, silver. He wanted actual money. And that's the thing. There's a difference between money and currency. Money is something that's actually backed by something of value. Currency is a means of transacting business. They're two different things. They can be the same thing, but they're currently not.
Yeah.
So Kennedy was in a place where he's like, okay, we have a big problem here. And there's these this military industrial / education system.
So is this what Trump did when he what did he restructure then?
Good questions. So these are the names you want to listen for, okay? Number 1, Ezra Cohen Watnick.
Okay.
Ezra Cohen Watnick. If you ever see his name someplace, he's one of the masterminds. So Kennedy said that if we're going to beat these globalists, this is back when I was born. Like, I was born in 63.
Yeah.
This is 62, he's saying. There's 61, right? Yeah. He's saying if we're going to beat this world global entity that's trying to take over the world, and they're going to use the U.S. military to do it, then we need to defeat it using what's called asymmetrical warfare. Asymmetrical. I came from a background of special operations. So when I was in the military, I flew C-141s. We dropped troops and equipment. And I supported the 89th Air Force, which at the time was Andrews Air Force Base. They presidential support. I flew the Secret Service guys, the limousines, the Beast, the big. So I'm somewhat familiar with this, and it gave me a unique perspective on knowing what a Marine's supposed to look like, how a Marine's supposed to salute versus what's on the TV. Right. What's on the TV is some hired actor. They're saluting with the wrong hand. It's like, it's so silly. It's the medals are crooked.
But you'd have to have that inside information just to even be aware of that.
Yeah, yes, you just have to be aware. Essentially, President Kennedy warned us about this, and then he got taken out.
Yeah.
Then Nixon took us off the gold standard, the silver standard, rather. And now, from 71, we had this runaway inflation. Inflation is a way for people to steal things from you. Because what happens is, instead of them having to earn money, real money that's got value, they just had to go to the printing press and go to their friends at the printing press and say, hey, we need another pallet of hundreds or print some more money for us. There's nothing backing it. But what they could do is they could take this monopoly money that they printed and then go buy stuff from us. And for every dollar they printed, it devalued the dollar that was in my pocket or my purse. The more money they printed, so basically $1 now that's in my pocket is basically worth a few pennies relative to the 30s. what does this all mean?
But the restructuring of the military,
Yeah. You're so good keeping me on track.
Yeah, no,
It's good.
because,
So what happened was,
back to it.
it used to be that all the information that went to POTUS, not POTUS, Commander-in-Chief, all of the information used to have to go through at least one other civilian. But what happens if your generals are mostly corrupt, or if they're not corrupt, you don't know which ones you can trust?
Right.
This harkens back to a challenge in the cryptocurrency space, which is called the Byzantine general problem, where you need 4 generals to take over the city, but you have to get 4 generals who don't trust each other to trust each other. So this is called the fog of war. You don't know which generals will turncoat, which ones you can trust. So you have to circumvent that system. So what Trump did was he said, okay, we're going to basically make another branch of the service. He made 2 other branches, one of which was called the Space Force. Nobody talks about it. Joe Biden.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, but Joe Biden's never talked about it.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a reason. And the Space Force isn't talking about outer space.
And Trump set this up.
Oh, yeah, he brought it in.
And its utility is...
Well, you can argue that, but a lot of people say it's space, like outer space, but it's really the internet space. When people talk about the internet, you're in the space.
The information space.
It's the information space. So we're literally in an information war right now. And some of us, thankfully, have been privy to this information for years. And we can trickle it out to people. And we're told right now, like my job right now as a patriot, is to bring comfort to people. It's to educate and comfort people during this time. Because what's being revealed around us, some of it's pretty dastardly.
But you're saying the worst is over?
Yes. In fact, we're getting close to it.
So that is the message of comfort.
We're getting to a point now where we're going to celebrate. So what Trump did was, before he left office, he set up the Space Force. He also did this thing with special operations. He took 2 of his key people for special operations and made them a separate branch. So they no longer had to go through the Secretary of Defense. I said that wrong. Shoot. I wish I could go back and say it. The top civilian is called the Secretary of Defense, right? I messed that up. Anyway, forgive me, y'all.
That's okay.
This is just off my cuff.
Yeah, well, we're going in a lot of
But what if
directions.
the Secretary of Defense is compromised or can't be trusted? So what he did was he set it up so that there's a separate branch that's asymmetrical warfare. Ezra Cohen-Watnick and Christopher Miller, those are 2 people that were experts both in asymmetrical warfare and special operations. He put them in positions where they would answer directly to him as the commander-in-chief.
So he circumvented.
So he bypassed the corrupted system. The military was the only way to do this. You couldn't, because if you have the whole system's corrupted, the judicial branch, the legislative, the executive, the media, everything's corrupted, and you need to clean out the system. How do you do it?
Yeah. Create your own system.
You have to circumvent it. You have to bypass it. You keep, like what President Kennedy said, you need a special operating force that's very effective, very efficient, and covert. So if you study the book by Sun Tzu, which is called The Art of War.
Yes, I've got that on my
Yeah,
shelves.
it's an amazing book.
Is it really? I'll
But
listen to that. I'll try and find that on YouTube.
If you read Sun Tzu and then look at the past 10 years,
Really?
you'll just come unglued. It's so fun to watch. It's exciting. It's been a great journey for me because I've seen these things happening in the background and cheering because you're seeing things in advance of the rest of the world, which is really fun to see. So he did 2 things. He made a special...
So you've got these 2 people who now don't answer to anyone but him.
Nope.
And their role is what?
Well, to win. To win what? It's to win against the dark forces that are trafficking humans. I talked... The punchline on Executive Order 818 is this. Those dirtbags get a special situation where they go to meet 3 generals, or 3, I think it's overseen by generals, but it might be just, I don't know if they're staff officers, but basically a tribunal. It's just, there's no jury. They are either guilty or not guilty.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, then what happens to them? They do a bid for the rest of their lives and they're off the scene.
They sit in a cell for the rest of their lives. We call it the spa. Like you go to Guantanamo Bay, it's called the spa. So they can get a private residence in a spa. Many of them are just put to death.
Yeah.
If they cooperate, if there's utility, if there's benefit, if they're going to cooperate, they can get the spa. Otherwise, maybe they get an injection or something like that.
Yeah, and then God will deal with them.
But they also, part of the executive order said, whatever you used to own, if you're that guilty dirtbag and you're Bill Gates.
And you're stripped of all your assets.
If you're Bill Gates.
Yeah,
all that stuff you thought you used to own.
It's now mine. It's confiscated.
It's confiscated.
And then used to keep furthering the agenda of preventing human trafficking. It should be used for the crime that they've committed to combat it.
You're so brilliant. You are so brilliant because you nailed it. The second thing he did besides structuring the military was he restructured the Treasury. Now, it used to be called the Department of Treasury. Or no, it's called the Treasury Department. Now it's called the Department of the Treasury. Two different things. Just like when you say the United States of America, if you say United States of America, they're talking about the corporation. If you talk about the United States for America, which is the original Constitution, that's the common law one. So words matter.
Yeah, gosh.
Treasury Department is not the same as the Department of the Treasury. Two different things.
So what did Trump do with that?
Words matter. So what he did was, instead of the IRS and the Federal Reserve being separate, what he did was he said, okay, y'all, we have this United States Treasury, the American Treasury, and you're going to have the IRS and the Federal Reserve subservient to the U.S., to the American Treasury.
And that's not happening now. That's
done.
It's done.
Oh, it's done before he left office.
Okay, that's what he did before he left office. Yeah. Okay, so he's done that. Now they're subordinate to that organization.
Right. So whenever you have all of these threats, and this is why I was laughing. A lot of people were like, "Oh my God, they're arming 70,000 IRS agents." Fear porn.
Yeah,
it's fear porn because those IRS agents, all of those people are subservient to the U.S. American Treasury. Right?
Right.
So all of those funds that were confiscated or brought back to America were put into the Treasury. Our Treasury right now, I don't know these things. I might be completely wrong.
No, you're speculating and going over ideas. That's what we're here to do, though.
But I'm saying, based on what I'm seeing, America has recovered all of its assets that were stolen. The World War I, World War II assets, the gold that we had in the Philippines, we've recovered that. We've got the assets from the Vatican. We've recovered most of our gold, if not all of it, and it's back here. When you listen to Trump's, I think it was his second to last rally speech.
This time around.
Just like last week.
Right.
I mean, it was just, I can't remember where he was. But he literally said, this is going to be a golden age for America.
Yes, I've heard him say that
He said, this is going to be And so when Commander Trump talks about these things, he picks his words very specifically. And when he says this is going to be a golden age for America, it's not some fantasy, dream
soundbite.
It's not a soundbite.
Yeah.
There's actually fact behind all the things he says.
This is very exciting.
It's very exciting.
If you're right, this is very exciting.
Well, this is why people look at me like, now let's talk about the election. Well, one more thing about the elections. So that's the punchline. All of these dirtbags that were trafficking humans, all of the militaries in the world have agreed that that's not okay. And those dirtbags have been either incarcerated, put to death, or
tracked down.
Or dealt with.
Yeah, dealt with.
There's no more. There's some middle ground stuff. Like there's a lot of underground caverns.
And there's people pursuing that, obviously. Yeah, that's an ongoing project.
The heavy lifting, all of these earthquakes and stuff. If you look at the earthquakes, the seismic footprint of these so-called earthquakes, many of them have been identical. The odds of underground earthquakes being identical are very small. They're always plus or minus a few. And it's a random distribution, basically a natural distribution. But when you look at what was going on over the past years and you look at the actual detonation footprint underground, the seismic footprint, it represents a detonation. So we believe strongly that a lot of the underground fighting, the underground, what are called DUMBs, D-U-M-B-S, which stands for Deep Underground Military Bases, those have been cleaned out because a lot of the dirt bags were trafficking underground.
Jesus.
So, but those have all been cleaned out. One of the reasons, and this is conjecture on my part, the so-called lockdowns, the scamdemic, a lot of the reasons for that was basically because we had a lot going on here in America. There was a lot of special ops going on right here, even in D.C. They had to clean out some of the underground things underneath the White House.
And they needed people to stay at home while they
needed people to stay home. But we have footage. If you look at, I can put some links in the show notes for this, but I have footage from 5 years ago when the scamdemic was in full force. We had people on bicycles in D.C. that were actually showing what's going on at the White House, the military helicopters, the whole thing going on. And so we have footage of that, a lot of that. I'll put a link to my Telegram channel that I've got like 18,000 videos there.
Wow.
And people can go and look at some of the historical stuff that's happened and just make your own decisions.
But you're optimistic that a lot of the heavy lifting's being done. There's more to do, but we've got it. Everything's in place. You trust Trump to deliver what his mission is. Is he aware of this mission, that he's going to eradicate all this human trafficking, and this golden age is his mission to get America where it needs to be?
So I've never met Trump. I don't know him as a person. I don't know anything about him. All I do is look at the forensics. I look at the data. Myself and a group of us, we call ourselves digital warriors. Sometimes we call ourselves anons, like anonymous. Mm-hmm. We just compare notes and try to make sense of things. Yeah. So I can't pretend to speak for Mr. Trump, although...
But your heart says what? He's a good guy.
I think he's a patriot that's done a good thing. He rose to the occasion. He was asked to run for office back in probably 2012, if I'm being truthful. Because if you look at his tweets back in 2012,
there's rumblings of it.
There was a lot of this going on. But formally, I think he was asked in 2014 or 2015. Incidentally, I don't know if I've ever read it to you, but when Trump announced that he was running, I wrote him a letter in 2015, and I offered to be his VP. I swear to you.
I love it.
I'll send you the letter.
How ambitious. Did
I'll
you get a response?
Now, in truth, I didn't vote for Trump. My letter was almost an in-your-face thing because I thought it was a political stunt.
Oh.
Truthfully.
So there's no sincerity in this?
Well, I was sincere. You know what I'll do? Next time, I'm going to print the letter and let you read it.
All right, let's do that.
Because I'd love to read it in your voice.
Yeah, okay.
But I wrote this letter offering my services as a patriot. I said, basically, Mr. Trump, thank you for running, because I didn't want the other candidate to win. He was running against Hillary Clinton, and I didn't want her to win because I knew what some of the dirtbag things she was involved with, which were not good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of nasty things about.
Not good things. I was not happy with her. I was not going to vote for her. So it was either President Trump or Gary Johnson, the Libertarian. I voted for the Libertarian. I thought it was a stunt. But shortly thereafter, when I started researching what this guy's all about, what a patriot he is, I changed my mind.
Nice.
So I voted Libertarian, and since then I did not vote Libertarian.
Right. It's good to change your mind. We don't want to hang on to old opinions out of dogma or pride, right?
I want the person that's going to serve we the people.
Yes.
Remember, this is a contractor.
That's right.
They're here to do a job.
We were talking about.
If they're not going to do the job we brought them in to do, we need to replace them. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. So, Executive Order 818 was to do with trafficking. Executive Order 848 was almost identical in terms of its structure, its implications, except for it had to do with election fraud. And so all the dirtbags that cheated in the 2020 election, and you could say, oh, Tia Jolie, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, it's conspiracy fact now. Because when you look at forget who voted red, who voted blue. Forget those things. Forget them. When you look at the overall votes for 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024, just look at the overall votes. There was about 4 million more votes in 2020. Maybe 5 million, I don't know the numbers, but there's this huge spike of votes that were inserted into the system in 2020, and we caught them all. 2020 was a sting operation. I've got another Telegram channel that shows all of the data, all of the sting, every aspect of the sting. our special operations guys recovering the servers that were in Frankfurt, Germany. Oh, the voting machines are not connected to the internet. Really? Well, we've got the servers in Germany and in Madrid and at the Vatican, we've got the servers that show otherwise. Wow. And we've tracked the packets, the individual packets of information to and from the voting machines. So yeah, it was a sting operation. We got them all. All the dirtbags that were cheating.
So this fraud issue was taken care of.
Yeah.
Trump missed out for 4 years, but he's got another 4 years. So that might not be a bad thing. He could have just been in the background for 4 years, getting his plan now, getting that ready. Yeah, so this election, there was no fraud. He's won fair and square.
Prior to this election, everybody had their underwear in a bunch because their person had to win. The truth is, we, the people, already won. We already won because every scenario that was left on the chessboard, every scenario was already managed. If Trump won, if the red team won with a tsunami, and then the blue team said, cheater, cheater, cheaters, well, that would play in exactly to the hand that we wanted. We want them to say that there's cheating because then we have to go investigate it, don't we? Mm-hmm. Them not only investigate this one, go backwards. So we knew that was checkmate for them because they couldn't play the cheater card. We had an army of people, all of the poll watchers. Everybody was watching everything and communicating with everybody. If there was even one hint of impropriety at the polls, there were some poll watchers waving a flag, recording. They had attorneys. There was no way that...
So we nailed it this time round.
All of the mistakes we made in 2020...
That was over.
We managed it this time.
We didn't duplicate
There was nothing left to chance. Mm. So the people who were voting for Kamala, they won. They actually won, but they didn't win because their person was in office. They won because the things that they want, the outcomes that they want, what do Americans want? They want freedom. Mm-hmm. They want security. They want to live their lives. Education. They want their money to be worth something. Mm-hmm. They don't want crimes in the streets. They don't want those things.
Yeah, we all want the same thing, don't we?
Most of us want the same things. They don't know it yet, but they actually won. They didn't win from having their person elected. They won because the Americans behind the scenes, not Trump. Trump was a front guy. And he's done a great job, but it was Americans behind the scenes, generals, like the media, the corporate media, the MSN, the CNN, all those, we independent journalists, we anonymous people destroyed the media. We destroyed them. Something comes out, oh, this is happening at the border wall. Within minutes, we, independent journalists, destroyed that narrative. We destroyed it. We said, no, that's not what's happening. Here's the full. They say, well, Trump said this during this piece. And we say, yeah, no, he didn't. You clipped together 4 pieces here, and here's the whole piece. Yeah. You clipped it, and we destroyed.
Now you've changed the context.
And we would do it we would give reference, we'd give context, whereas they were so used to taking sound bites and saying, oh, Trump's a Nazi, because here's what he said. But when you look at the whole soundbite, they took it completely out of context, right? Yeah. So to answer your question, is Trump a good guy or bad guy? I don't know. My heart, my intuition says he's a good guy. He's the Commander Trump. When you look at his hat, it says 45-47. His little cap, Make America Great Again. You look at his cap, it says 45-47. Dash means through.
Dash means?
Through.
Okay.
Including. So it's 45, including 46, 47.
Right, okay, so that's his two
So it's 45. It doesn't say 45, 47.
Yeah.
It's 40.
Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed was 45-47. When you add the numbers up, it's 9/11.
Interesting.
45 is 9 and 11. So there's certain things, again, nothing is accident. Everything is code, and it's all in your face. And any one of these things you'd say, well, gosh, that's just a random occurrence. But at some point, it's mathematically impossible for these to be coincidences.
These synchronicities, yeah.
So, and your friend Frank, I spoke with him last week, your co-producer on your radio show.
Yeah.
he brought up something about Baron Trump, which we won't talk about now. I don't know what Baron Trump is about. I don't know who he is, don't know what he's about, but your friend Frank has some back information going back 150 or 200 years about Baron Trump.
Really?
Yeah, so you'll have to ask him about it.
I'll have to ask him. Get to the bottom of that mystery. But overall, you feel that America is heading in a good direction, and this golden age is something that is attainable.
So if it's going to happen, it's not going to be because of President Trump. He's going to be the figurehead, the leader.
Yeah.
It's we the people. And my message would be that we the people have freedom as long as we can keep it. But we have to learn our lessons from the past 100 years. We got fat, dumb, and lazy. We surrendered education. We surrendered work. We want other people to do our things for us.
You want convenience.
If you want trash picked up on your street, go pick it up. We have a private street here. It's clean as you can be.
It really is.
We need the road to be worked on, but you never see trash. If the trash is on our street, even a bottle, it's picked up within a couple hours. Somebody picks it up.
Yeah.
And it's not the government. It's we the people. And I'm talking from my family. Like, I've got the leftist left and the rightist right in my family. A month ago, I convinced them to come together in Chicago for my brother's party. My brother and his wife were celebrating some major milestones. Neither of the left or the right wanted to be together. By the end of the weekend, they were literally singing karaoke together. We can do this. We can do this. We have to honor each other as divine sovereigns. You're so beautiful, Sarah, because you're sitting here across from this scrappy American rebel, right?
You're not scrappy.
I am scrappy. But so, none of us like to be told what to do. And we have a constitution that is beautiful. It's a living document. I know last time you said, well, it's time to get rid of the Constitution.
No, time to make amendments to it, not get rid of it.
But even the amendments that are in place are bogus. If you look at the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th Amendment, they're bogus. They were never properly put in place. So we need to go back and remove amendments. If we're going to amend something, we need to
have a solid mechanism.
There is a mechanism, and the mechanism was co-opted. 13, 14, 15, 16 Amendment. We have to really go back and examine those. They need to be thrown out. If they want amendments, there's a process for doing that, and the process was not followed. They need to follow their rules. If you follow the rules, if you're gay, if you're Muslim, if you're Buddhist, atheist, we have a system that welcomes you. If you're coming into this country and you're a foreigner and you're uneducated and you just want hope and you want to live the American dream, we want you here. But we have processes to follow. We're not saying no to a family that wants to come and live here, but we have processes for that.
Yes.
We're not saying no because you're a different color. That's bullcrap. That's fear porn. We Americans love you. True Americans are peaceful, loving people. We're not warmongers. All those warmongers, and they come in red wrappers and they come in blue wrappers. Some of the worst warmongers in Congress have blue wrappers. We need to just have this. We have more in common than we do different.
We want the same things, don't we?
We want,
most of us.
I want Sarah to be able to live in peace in her property, to write her books, to these things.
Be secure.
I had no idea I was going to talk this whole show.
No, it's great. I think we can wrap it up by saying, I hope that Trump does a good job. I wish him well. It's a shit job, but someone's got to do it. I'm a patriot. I don't want to listen to anyone bad-mouthing, because I don't think we should sit and bad-mouth our presidents. He's elected. I'm going to support him for the next 4 years because I can't change this. So God bless Donald Trump, and let's hope that in 4 years our country is on the road to being better than it is now. Yeah. I wish Kamala well. I mean, good for her for trying. I mean, she's obviously an accomplished woman, and she's probably done more with her life than I am. And I wish her well, whatever she's doing. She lost. I have no animosity towards her or anyone else. This is the way it is. And I love this country. And well, we'll talk again. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
talk more election stuff and post-election stuff, and anything that comes up, we'll keep interjecting and having conversations. It's very interesting. I do worry that I can't get information that I can believe in, because it's very, very difficult. I'm told one set of circumstances and statistics and then another. So for me, I'm pulling back into my bubble and just doing the best I can within the sphere of influence I can while all this is going on the outside. But I bless it all, and just going to keep my energy high and positive while I go about my life.
It's a beautiful message. I think my message is specifically to my friends and family whose person, quote, lost the election. You know, Kamala, this was not her fault that she lost. We've allowed the system to become so polarized that each party permits the fringe to represent the whole. So if it's, say, you know, like none of us, like I have a lot of friends that are in the LGBTQ community, and none of them believe you should teach oral sex in kindergarten, like zero. So, but the religious right is teaching that that's the norm and that's what's going on. No, it's not. And they're creating this fear porn so that one party hates the other. But if I pull people together and I say, what can we agree on? Can we agree that if a teenage girl's raped, that she should have a mechanism that during the first couple of weeks that she can unrape herself, right? Because she's already been through trauma. Why permit that trauma to continue? Most people, red or blue, now there's a fringe group of red, they'll say, no, we have...
Well, that's where religion...
We have to push all this stuff down to the local level, and y'all figure it out at the local level, not the central level. But for my family that's, I'm going to move out of the country, go ahead and do it. Find joy, find peace, find happiness. But this country is about to enter its greatest time ever. We are on the threshold of magnificence.
Great.
2025 is going to be the best year of our lives.
Love that.
I believe that I'm here. I am here for this moment. I'm here to celebrate what's about to happen in this country. We're going to have prosperity and happiness and peace that we've not seen in our lifetimes. This is the time we're actually about to see world peace. And
Here's to that.
I got goosebumps just now saying that. Like
I love that.
Look at my arms. Look at my whole body is goosebumps. I'm a walking goosebump. We're about to see world peace. There's going to be skirmishes. There's going to be ugliness. Those things will be put down very quickly at the local level.
Oh, that's a very hopeful scenario.
Yeah. So please find ways to, if things aren't going with your elected officials at the state, local, federal level, if they're not happening the way that you want them to happen, use your First Amendment rights. Use your voice. Make sure that you're not just pounding on your steering wheel and throwing things like a spoiled brat.
Have conversations like these.
Get organized.
Yeah.
Get yourself a podcast like this.
Start sharing these
and start
ideas.
sharing.
Yeah.
Explain. Don't pitch a fit and throw yourself on the floor and use force. Don't use laws. Use your voice.
Yes.
Influence the world with your voice.
And words are what we have to stop us warring. Exchange of words and ideas. That's how we keep the peace. Because if you don't have that, you're going to use force. And words prevent force.
This is exactly what the neocons, and again, the neocons were both Democrat and Republican. They wanted to drop bombs, use drones, take out people. Even Obama killed more people with drones than any president. So don't pretend that just because you're one color or the other that you're less or more peace. We used to have statesmen. We used to have stateswomen that would go to the other countries and say, okay, look, this isn't working out. Can we have this conversation? Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Diplomacy.
How can you win and how can we win?
Yeah, what's your idea? What's mine? What's
Let's take the best ideas, right? Yeah. And that's what the United States for America was about, was trying to find the best ideas.
Yeah.
And then hopefully if what's working in Florida is great, then the other states will look and say, hey, we need to do more of that.
Example, yeah.
Right? So
That's
God bless.
great.
This has been great. I'm sorry. Next time we talk, you need to do most of the talking.
I've got a lot to say, but I think these 2 election episodes we've done, I think they've been valuable and hopefully nourishing, and I've really enjoyed them. the next time we come on air. Well, I'll keep that a surprise, but I've got all that worked out behind the scenes. So it's lovely talking to you, and I like your message of hope, and I really hope 2025, let's rock on. Let's just, make something better.
We've got this, and
nice.
it's about we the people. It's about us coming into our power, which is kind of central to your message.
Yeah.
This is a time where we come into our power, and we make our future what we want it to be.
That's right.
So,
creative. Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to let you know I love you dearly.
I love you
And
too. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for
really
coming
enjoyed
back.
It.
This is
yeah.
I hope people can find peace with some of this
Yes,
stuff.
I hope so too.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, Sarah.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Pure will make your world better.
Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skincare, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in a physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.